Welcome to Retail Retold, the stories behind how that store landed in your neighborhood. I'm Chris Ressa, in conversation with the people and stories shaping retail and real estate. Brought to you by DLC. Welcome to Retail Retold, everyone. Today I am joined by Kevin Nassimi, Vice President of Real Estate of Nassimi Realty. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thank you for having me, Chris. It's a pleasure.
So Kevin, we've known each other for a while. Tell me a little bit about, or tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So we're Nassimi Realty, family-owned private real estate company. Been around for about 35, 40 years. Specialize mostly in suburban shopping centers. Have an in and out portfolio of about 30 centers in a time across the eastern half of the country. Specifically within the company, I'm a VP of the leasing department, work on deal making, acquisitions, marketing, and everything on that side of the business.
And how long have you been in the family business?
Since the summer of 2008, so pretty much about 15 years. I've actually never worked anywhere else. This has been it.
Wow. So you've seen some cycles. '08 was an interesting one, and March of 2020 we started an interesting one, and we're about to enter a new one. So you've seen some cycles. You've been around the block a bit.
Little bit. Not as much as some others, but a little bit.
And geographically, where do you guys buy and sell centers?
We're a New York-based company, so we prefer to we have like a 3-hour flight rule, as we like to say. So it's generally around the eastern half of the country. It's down to Florida, up to Chicago, back to New York, everywhere in between. We like to stay in that area. We don't operate much in Texas or all the way to the West Coast.
3-hour flight rule. I like that. And have you been getting out lately, traveling, seeing sites lately?
I have, because I also do some work on acquisition side, so to see. Less than I used to. I can't lie. Certain habits have changed these past couple of years. You don't want to get comfortable, but I still like to get to each site at least twice a year, preferably once a quarter. And I also have other members of the team that get out. Sometimes we work on as a team as things and not just individuals. So we each try and get out, once or twice a year to add numbers, but not as much as I would like to, but still getting there.
It took me a while to get back into a rhythm of getting out and meeting with clients, tenants, and meeting and going and seeing markets and seeing sites, but it's refreshing to do that, man. I love doing that. So, but
Agreed.
It is refreshing to do that. So,
especially when it's also a drive. Flights have gotten more and more complicated, with the masking and delays and all the paperwork you have and this and that. So, if I could drive, even if it's a 5-hour drive, get home at night, I'll do that any day.
Are you going to the Boston ICSC?
We don't do that.
No.
We've just acquired our second site in the New England area, so maybe it's starting to get worth it, but I've never been. Don't do that one.
I haven't been in a long time. My team's always gone, but I am going, and you mentioned so if you were going to Boston, you would drive?
It's right on the fence.
It's on the fence.
I actually, just if it's like downtown Boston, would even consider a train.
So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the train.
I live in the city. I could get to Penn Station. If you get the Excel or whatever, get Wi-Fi. It's not the worst thing.
That's what I'm doing. I'm taking the train, and there's a lot of trains. So unlike a flight, like if you decide I need to stay an extra hour or I want to leave an hour early, it's a lot simpler than flying.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Especially if you're going downtown where you can then walk or wherever, if you have to visit sites,
sure.
It doesn't pay.
Sure. Well, I want to take us to a part of the show called Clear the Air. I got 3 questions for you. They're about you. Are you ready?
Born ready.
All right. Question 1. When is the last time you tried something for the first time?
So, about 3.5 years ago, I got my first residential conversion project, and I actually literally this morning have finally gotten a CO on it. So it's been the full 3.5 years. It's been a gruesome, troubling ride of doing a completely different animal. Being commercial real estate and residential real estate, I learned almost have nothing to do with one another. And being that was my first residential project, and I could say I had a tough learning curve, and it's been a full 3.5 years since I've tried something, because that's been so rough on me.
What was it before it was resi?
It was in one of those neighborhoods, where has been gentrified. So it's retail on the bottom, and it was 3 stories of just storage and just commercial storage. Let's call it. It was uninhabitable. So now those apartments get $50 a foot, where it's worth it. Where several years ago no one would want to live there.
Wow, very cool. How many units?
10.
Awesome, man. Very cool. All right, question 2. What is one skill you don't possess but wish you did?
Almost correlated. The natural knack and understanding for construction. It's a part of the deal making, unfortunately. And
it really is.
I'm the guy when you pull in your car to the shop and they say, oh, the left defibrillator's not working. I'm the guy who just says, okay, do whatever you got to do. I can't answer him. I don't know anything. It gets technical about any detail. It bounces off my head naturally. It goes in, it goes out. I don't understand it. Obviously, I don't try and show the other side that, but I don't have a natural understanding for it. And it definitely affects my business capability. I'm man enough to admit that. It's tough. I'm not good with my hands. I have 3 kids. I'm always struggling trying to build a toy or something. I'm that dad. I'm that guy. It's just who I am. I was born that way. I always complain to my father about it. This is a gene that he had. I wish I didn't have it, but I do. And it gets to my business capability. I just don't understand construction naturally very well.
I hear you. Okay. Last question. What is one thing most people agree with but you do not?
I'm going to title most people as other, private landlords, friends, similar to you.
Okay.
And it's actually it's come up a few times recently, and it's arguing with brokers over commissions. I have a soft spot, and I'm extremely generous. Their first ask, I usually immediately take it. I don't ask for a point off. I don't ask for $1 per foot off. Whatever it is, I'm extremely generous when it comes to tenant rep, landlord rep, whatever it is, the brokers in our business, which is obviously a major part of it. I get into a lot of arguments internally about it. I get into a lot of arguments externally. When you have a peer who says, "Oh, I got the $5 a foot down the street from so and so. I want it here too," but it's just something I don't agree with everyone. Let them eat. We're eating. We got the deal. Let them get their full price, and everybody wins. Is my mindset.
Got it. Yes, brokers are very important in our business, for sure, and making sure they can eat is certainly important. Okay, I want to pivot a second, and I want to talk about a story about Burlington and Clifton. So tell me the story, and what time period are we in?
So when you're talking about that one, it starts from 2017. We had a site there. It was one of those, I call it a 1990 beauty. It was built with Pathmark and Kmart. It's the two anchors, and it hummed along great for 20 years, and then when Pathmark filed the second time, it's about 60,000 feet. I called them every week, every 2 weeks, hammered. It just made so much sense to me. They were kind of worried. They were 2-3 miles in every direction, you can say, but in the dense parts of North Jersey, it just, when you know your asset, you know your trade area, you just know that they're not going there. Tried. They said no. We ended up doing okay. But we did a Key Foods and an LA Fitness. That was done. You fast forward then a couple of years, and our Kmart went out. This is when they filed the second time also. And then we had 100,000 square feet to go. So here I am again, calling them, saying no. And even in my office, it was like an ongoing joke. I kept making ICSC meetings with them, bringing it up again. I kept.
And you're talking about Kmart right now, right?
I'm talking about the Kmart space, calling Burlington to take a portion of it. And finally one day, as some of us may know, I think they got a new COO from Ross. They built a little bit of a different model, densification, smaller formats, whatever it was. I got the call from their tenant rep broker I called, no sarcasm, close to 100 times on this site over a course of 4 years.
Is that Cliff?
Cliff Simon, correct. And it's a fan favorite of everybody. And he said, Kevin, I just want you to know that your persistence has finally paid off. We just got new marching orders from corporate, and we need more sites, and we can do this. And you're the first person I thought of because of how many times you've reached out, and here we are. Let's go. And we, at that point, we already had about half the building full. Luckily, we still had the other half available. We hammered out a deal, and they just opened in the fall of 2021.
So, you brought up a bunch of things that I think are so important, just some fundamentals. One, just the no quit. You continued to call on these for you guys for years. You thought they were the right tenant for this center in this trade area. Two, there's a corollary to that, which is you have to really know your asset and your trade area, right? And you did. And that persistence, and clearly it carried over to other deals, because if you hadn't released the Pathmark box and had a grocer and a gym that brought in traffic and it was all vacant, I don't know if Burlington maybe wouldn't have wanted to be the only one going in, but you had critical mass and you had good uses. Obviously, I know the center, it's on a really strong corridor in Clifton, so that piece was taken care of, but you needed to make sure that you had some critical mass. Otherwise, that tenant might not have gone without anyone else. So,
well said. There's a little bit of luck to a lot of deals at times. Timing is also everything, and you're right. If we were sitting on 2 empty boxes when he called and looked at it, he would have probably said forget it. But luckily for us, that wasn't the case.
I'm hopeful, and I'm assuming that the 3 of them, the rents are higher than Kmart and Pathmark were paying?
Not Pathmark.
Okay.
I can't lie on camera. We built it for them, and the rents, in those mid-90s were different.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But the Kmart, yes.
Kmart, low basis with Kmart, yeah. Okay. Well, listen.
If I'm comfortable airing some dirty laundry on camera, that Pathmark lease, was $32 a foot on almost 60,000 square feet, triple net, North Jersey taxes.
Wow.
So obviously that number was tough.
When when they filed, there was a lot of people who were assuming Pathmark leases. Was anyone looking at that lease?
A little bit. You know, the usual suspects in North Jersey did, but it didn't even really get past first base, I would say. I think there was just, the area was covered. There was just so much cannibalization. Everyone's kind of within a mile of this, and no one really got past first base, I would say, unfortunately.
Got it. Okay, well, listen, thank you for sharing the story. Really appreciate it. I want to, just take the last few minutes with you and I kind of to discuss what your take is on the market. You operate in many states. I know it's only the eastern half of the country, but it's a wide geography. You talk to many tenants. You're talking to brokers. You're really plugged in. What's your overall take on the market right now?
Yeah, I mean, the question comes at an interesting time. We're fresh off Vegas ICSC a few weeks ago. Was my first time sitting down with everybody, and at that point, 2.5 years. I didn't make the one in fall of 19. My wife was expecting a child. I think there's there's a few topics I'll brush on the top line of it. I think pads are king. Freestanding buildings, ground in the front I've never seen such demand for one specific, let's call it product type. Everyone wants it. Everyone who used to be in line wants it. Everyone wants to drive through. Everybody, the demand is just endless. We get one, not even a great one. It's a decent one. I feel like we have 10 proposals in 2 weeks, It's pick one. You can almost get a bidding war going if you really want to. That type of feeling, the type of demand that you have, especially if a good center, a good anchor, good visibility, traffic light, all that kind of stuff. It's a home run. You have endless users who are interested in it. I think we have the least amount of big box availability since I started. Like I said, I really got my feet wet in the business more like by understanding of 2009, 2010, and there was a lot of carnage already that happened by that point. I don't remember a time where there was such little available box space. We're coming off retailers that literally, that a couple of years ago had their pick of the litter, and they say, I can't find anything. I can't find anything. Do you have anything there? I'll expand it. I'll do it. I'll do this. I found that part to be unique. And not to get geographic or political, I think, certain, especially franchise-driven concepts, the main expansion is in the Southeast. When you talk to certain groups, you say, all right, where do you have active people? Where do you have where are you growing right now? Is it a gym or a restaurant chain or whatever, it's anything mostly franchise-driven. The action's down in the Southeast, where they've obviously had a major population growth the past couple of years, and they, I everyone. I want to be in Florida. I want to be in Georgia. I want to be in the Carolinas, Tennessee, Texas, whatever it is. You heard a lot of that, and less, less than the Northeast, less than the coast. It's that was an interesting topic. I saw those as three trends that weren't really the case a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so the first one I'll agree with. I totally, it's fascinating, the demand for pad sites. I think every landlord I speak to is seeing the same thing. There's an endless amount of users for pads. And one of the reasons is there's, over the course of time, you start to run out of land for pads, so there's actual supply constraint. The second piece, which I don't think a lot of people would think is totally true, I think it's a little bit the same. There's a couple of reasons. One is, so you mentioned your Kmart and Pathmark. One of the things that's happened, people talk about the store size shrinking. Well, what's that's done is there's many more users in the 25,000 square foot range, and a lot of these Kmart's, let's use Kmart. If you think about all the Kmart's in America, the amount that got backfilled, and we'll take all the ones that are backfilled, which is many, the amount that are backfilled with one user versus multiple user is significant. So meaning that the amount of multiple users in one space. So what that does, right, if you take a Kmart box and you put in 4 tenants, well, now if one person goes, you have a small box left. You don't have large box space available, and it creates this new scenario where there's a lot less 100,000 foot stores in America than there was, and I think that's a key piece. There's a lot less 100,000 foot stores in America. The second thing is, I think one of the things that we don't talk about enough, when people paint the picture of, notwithstanding government stimulus and everything that happened in the pandemic, there was a spotlight on retail come in, and we're going to have 100,000 closures and this and that. And one of the things that people missed was that the retail real estate industry took a lot of its medicine pre-pandemic. So Sports Authority, Toys R Us, Borders, all these brands that filed bankruptcy and got rid of stores and liquidated chains, Linens and things, everything happened between 2008 and 2020. And so going in, we had taken a lot of the medicine that people didn't think we had taken. You couple that today with there's very little new construction and across the country because of construction costs. And there's this crazy thing happening where, obsolete retail space is being repurposed to other uses. So all that's doing is limiting the supply. So if you own retail real estate, if some mall anchor is getting changed into, a multifamily, great, I love it, because all it's doing is restricting the supply of retail space.
That's a great point. Just if I may, piggyback on for the lack of boxes, it's the other sectors. You have a lot of these malls that used to be 1 million square feet of retail that have been repurposed industrial, self-storage, knocked down multifamily. That has really gobbled up a lot of space, and I think that especially industrial the past couple of years is hypersensitive. That's taking up a lot of space.
So when we used to talk that we were overstored in America. I now publicly a lot. I'm saying we have too many digital stores and we're understored physically.
It's fair.
So
we're definitely getting there. And it's tough to build. You're right. There's land restraints. It's so costly to build now more than ever. There's just less supply coming.
Yeah, and I think the making boxes smaller is a key piece too, because we had 3 Kmart's. One of the Kmart's turned into Ollie's, Harbor Freight, and Planet Fitness. Another Kmart turned into Lidl, Harbor Freight, Ollie's, and Goodwill. And the other one turned into At Home. So I now have what I used to have only 3 boxes is now actually 8 stores. So making the boxes smaller, right, and spreading the risk through multiple tenants is really paid dividends that people don't see, because every landlord's been doing this. And I think the piece that where you'll see a blip, I'll tell you where you'll see a blip in this. Because I feel, notwithstanding the inflation, interest rates, the fundamentals of our product type in retail real estate, open air, suburban retail real estate, to me is as strong as it's ever been. The thing that will make a blip is every year since 2008, we've had something that we haven't had in a long time. And when I say a long time, a couple of years, which is a mass store closure.
Yeah.
So you haven't had if you think about what happens when Toys R Us files, right? There's a perception in the marketplace, oh my God, all this good real estate's now coming available. And what it does is for the users who are out looking for space, it takes their eye off the ball of whatever they were working on. They're like, I don't want to miss this opportunity. And we start looking at all these toys boxes, and they want to make sure that they've seen it, they've done their job, they're looking at it, and it slows down the pace at which they're doing everything else. So I'm not talking about pruning. Every retailer's got to prune a certain amount of their stores every year. But we haven't had the mass store closure. When we have a mass store closure, that has impacts that we don't talk about enough in our industry. Like, even if it's not in your market, what it might do is that retailer you're working with, it might now say, hey, time out. I got to make sure that I've got this covered. Like, this massive opportunities come. Toys R Us has this amazing real estate, and it slows the world down. And right now, it's really fast.
It's well said. We haven't had I call it the bankruptcy wave. We haven't, thank God, had one in the last 18 months.
No, we haven't had a mass closure. And here's the other thing. There's a guy, Simeon Siegel, who put out this article in the pandemic. The non-bankruptcy mass store closures, like of Pennies and all these, he did an analysis of like any retailer that's done a mass store closure. And the analysis was, did it work? Did it we did a mass store closure. Did it actually save the company? Did it help? And he studied like 20 or 25 that did this, and very few did it actually improve the business fundamentals of the organization. Primarily, all you're really doing is shrinking your business. And it does, because no one ever thinks about that. Like, everyone's always like, all right, like, hey, we're struggling here. Let's cut all the stores. You know, we're struggling in these 100 stores. Let's cut them. And no one's ever like really analyzed, like, well, did that work? A lot of retailers, that you're not the first one to think of that as a solution. Did it actually help? Like, what are you trying to get? Is it cut costs, increase margin? What are you trying? Like, has it worked? And his analysis, like, it really doesn't work.
It's going on with a few right now, like Bed Bath and so on. I'm curious to see how it goes. Now that you say that, I'm going to track it in my head. Yeah, the thing that I would say, the one thing that you didn't touch on that I would say about Vegas that was really interesting was retailer optimism, notwithstanding it wasn't a great quarter, was through the roof. Their optimism was through the roof. Like, people who are selling things in physical real estates, their optimism, whether it's a healthcare service or a shirt, their optimism through the roof. Well said. Definitely agreed. Definitely felt the same thing. Missed that one. Everyone. Not every sector. It was really something.
Okay. Listen, I really appreciate you coming on. Give a lot of good insights. I got 3 fun questions for you. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Question 1. What extinct retailer do you wish would come back from the dead?
Radio Shack.
Radio Shack. For a guy who can't put anything together, that's the one you want? You want to go and get like parts to build something?
I needed a 3-thing adapter to get on this call today, and I was just running around stores this morning to get my screens up, so I'm ready for you today.
Oh my God. Well, thank you.
I didn't have time to order it online and wait the 2 days.
Okay. Question 2. What is the last item over $20 you bought in a store?
I go to stores all the time. I'm the wrong guy for that question. I protect almost my own interest. My wife makes fun of me. Every day she has 2-3 boxes coming, and the next morning I bring most of it back to be returned. But I just before the summer went on a shopping spree. This shirt I'm wearing is from Bloomingdale's. I bought this towards the middle of June. I did a little spree before going on vacation.
Where'd you go on vacation?
Hamptons. Just a Hamptons rental, yeah.
All right.
No big trip this year. Got too many little ones. It's too complicated.
Yeah. So if you want some advice on the big trip with the little ones, I have 2, but I think I've got some pieces figured out. So the number one advice, this is going to blow you away. This is my number one advice. This is how I do a big trip now. So I have a great relationship with my in-laws, okay? And my mother-in-law is like it wouldn't be a weird thing if like I was on my way home from work and I called my mother-in-law and we just chatted for 10 minutes. So like I have a great relationship with her, and she's awesome. So the answer is I bring my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
So
was my best friend too. I can't argue.
So bring my mother-in-law. That's the answer to a big trip. That's how I solve all the issues that you were talking about.
Said. Noted.
Last question, Kevin. If you and I went shopping at Target and I lost you, what aisle would I find you in?
Snacks. I'm a big. It's a pet. I call it. I have a salt tooth, not a sweet tooth.
Yeah, I have a salt tooth too.
I still eat Doritos, Cheetos, cheddar popcorn almost every single day. I'm that guy. Like I fight with when they have my kids have a birthday on like a Sunday or something. I'm like fighting with my hands in the candy bowl. I have a real salt tooth. I'm addicted like to chips. Almost every single day I eat a full bag of something.
Well, the ones you mentioned are pretty nostalgic for me, but the salt world has come a long way. There's all these like cool brands and custom new chips. Like every time I go to a store, I feel like what is that brand of new chips? Like Kettle this and this new flavor. Are you trying all those?
No, not that guy.
No.
I'm not big on like change. My wife tries to bring. She brings some. She obviously does shopping. It's there. I try it, but I still love the oldies. They're the goodies for a reason. You know, I know they're not as well for you. Thank God I'm blessed. It doesn't really negatively affect my body too much. I'm processed food is fine. It is what it is with me. I'm all good with it. Think you're frozen.
Appreciate you watching. Hit subscribe. See you in the next one.